How to naturally improve your eyesight. Keys to naturally improve your eyesight. We're here with David from Cure for Blur. How are you, David?
Good, good, great. Thanks for having me on.
So, this is for everyone watching who has bad eyesight. Basically, tons of people wear glasses. A lot of people are myopes. You would say short-sighted. And you have this incredible story about needing glasses. You had prescription glasses, discovered and studied some stuff about naturally improving your eyesight, and retook your driver's test without glasses. Can you talk about your story a little bit, and then we'll talk about you'll talk about, really, I don't know too much, but you'll talk about how you guys who are watching can do a few things to improve your vision.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, basically, I wore glasses for 12 years, and at some point, I read a book about improving eyesight. There's this guy named Mayer Schneider, and I read his book, and he referenced Dr. William Bates. It's called like the Bates method. That's like the most common thing.
Uh,
If you were going to search like on eyesight improvement, you could look up the Bates
sure.
method. And the basic idea was just that stress and strain causes blurry
Mhm.
vision, and also just that glasses and contacts, they don't heal your eyesight. People
Mhm.
just wear them for the rest of their lives. So there's just some basic phrase talking about
Mhm.
that stress and strain, and I just like kind of looked into my body and I was like, yeah, I'm definitely stressing and straining, so I might as well try to relax and release the stress and strain and regain my clarity of vision,
Yeah,
and so I
man.
started doing.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely open to this. I was reading, I mentioned the book The Brain's Way of Healing by Norman Doidge, really famous book,
Hmm.
and he talks about as well how people who are almost functionally blind can act, and this is very scientific, uh, almost learn to see again through relaxation practices. So I'm interested in hearing what that is. Out of curiosity, at your worst, what sort of prescription did you have?
I had a -4. I had a -4 and -3.75, and I had some amount of astigmatism and cylinder.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't really know what that means. Um, and
Well,
then,
I mean,
uh-huh.
I couldn't read the top letter of the eye chart.
Wow.
It would have to be sort of it's like I had 2400 sort of.
Hmm.
These are kind of fuzzy. I guess that's a pun, but like fuzzy kind of comparisons or whatever. Um, yeah, it's like vision problems are really, it's not actually a disease. Like if you look
Hmm.
it up, they actually call it like it's like a vision, it's like a condition,
Hmm.
and it's not like the mainstream doesn't really understand what's going on, like with the eyes. The general idea is just that myopes have eyes that are too long.
Uh-huh.
Like their physical length, they say their physical length is longer than their
Uh-huh.
optical length, which means that like the light is like focusing in front of the retina instead of on the retina.
Sure. So,
So that kind of explains. Yeah, go ahead.
is there a big vision conspiracy, or people just don't really understand it? Like, why, is there tons
Well,
of
it's
money
it's.
into the glasses industry, or like, why is it, why,
I mean,
right?
there is quite a bit of money in the glasses industry. I mean, you've got in the United States alone probably over 100 million people um, that are using lenses. I mean, throughout the whole
And they
world, I
cost
think
a
it's something
ton,
like,
and
what's
we're
that?
paying, it costs crazy much, and we're paying through them all through taxes. Not everyone is covered with vision, but that's one of the ways they're able to charge so much is it's not individuals who are paying, it's companies, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you get a career putting glasses on people, so you really have a big disincentive to believe that either you're causing harm
Hmm.
or that there's like some other much better way to do things. You really don't want to hear that at all.
Right. Yeah. So there's the problem. So what's the solution? Well, a little more about your story. How long did it take from going to a -4 or whatever to going to not needing glasses at all while driving and stuff like that?
So, I mean, so me personally, I got my driver's license, I think around 2.5 years after I started to improve my eyesight.
Uh-huh.
Your mileage may vary, definitely. I personally believe that it's not so much a physical problem as a psychological.
Mm.
So that means that it's possible that some people could do things a lot faster, but then other people it's a lot slower, depending on their readiness. I had moments where I'd see things very, very clearly, very early on.
Uh-huh.
The first few months or whatever. I just have these, they call them clear flashes, where
Mm-hmm.
just for a moment you're seeing things like crystal clear, but then it disappears. Um,
You said
and
crystal
yeah, I
clear. The
mean,
internet
around
cut.
maybe a
My
year and a
internet
half.
cut out a little bit. What did you say? You had
Okay.
flashes where you could see things super clearly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone just emailed me sharing this experience as well. Like these moments basically of just deeper relaxation, or like openness, vulnerability, just kind of like emotional presence, things like that.
Uh-huh.
Um, are the moments where people are more likely to basically release their eyes and let their eyes
Right.
kind of move.
Yes.
We develop really bad visual habits.
I'm interested in hearing about that.
Uh,
Before, you're the expert in this. I'm definitely not an expert, but I mean, my background, uh, I've never used glasses. I never plan on using glasses. I definitely had the thought that it's under my control somewhat. My brother uses glasses, and I noticed there's a lot of muscular contraction strain going in here. And I know that I don't really understand myopia and stuff like that, but I know that there's a whole lot of muscles that are used to around the eyes, right? And I noticed that a lot of the time people who have real thick glasses are like you see this wrinkle here and they're really straining is something that I've noticed.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it would make sense that relaxing of the face if you're able to do that. And I mean the thing in the book that I read about it, Norman Deutsch, is this technique of basically
You're
cupping
cutting
the
out.
eyes. Mm. So in the book,
You cut out for a second.
yeah, in the book, The Brain's Way of Healing, Norman Deutsch describes this technique where you just cup the eyes and kind of massage them, and that can relax the tension. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's my perspective on it. Again, like I'm absolutely not an expert, so I hand it over to you. I'm curious about if that's true and what the techniques you recommend.
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, so they call that cupping, or some people would call that palming. I highly recommend that. So just doing this, it basically, it kind of puts your attention, it puts your attention on your eyes, and on, you get a warm feeling. It also blocks out. It should block out light, so then you kind of like it allows your eyes to rest, because
Mm-hmm.
we're used to responding to the visual stimuli. And so when you
Right.
have your eyes uncovered, then you kind of have these patterns that are sort of built in, and so this offers the opportunity to change it. Um, and then there's a psychological side, which I think part of covering your eyes deliberately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that part of this represents a sort of trust in the safety of your environment, because
Mm-hmm.
or it kind of, because you're saying, like, I don't need to see, it's okay for me to cover my eyes. um, but the reverse also, I think, is like face palm, like it
Mm-hmm.
looks like you're face palming.
Dope.
And I think
Right.
that also has, yeah, it has a, it has like a processing element, like
Mm-hmm.
the posture that you're in ends up kind of telling yourself
Mm-hmm.
the like the mood that you're in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you sit in a bad posture for a while, eventually you feel
It
bad. Or
becomes
if
the
you
posture,
get
yeah.
yourself, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So
So
you
so
just have a
part of this,
permanent posture of your eyes in a sense.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, there are muscles, there are there are muscles surrounding the eyes, and muscle groups can get tense and tight and dysfunctional, and when you look at something up close, your eyes converge, which requires muscular action, and those muscles can fatigue, and those muscles can also sort of get stuck. Uh, so and the vision is so fast, and it's so nuanced and delicate and
Hmm.
requires such fine coordination to get clarity, that it's very easy to get blur.
Right.
If your muscles are just slightly off from where your kind of head is at, you're going to get blurry vision.
Hmm.
And I think blur is actually sort of totally natural, in the sense that like your eyes, it takes some muscular effort to adjust your focus. It's not just like we have eyes that you automatically see absolutely everything in focus. You actually have to focus your eyes. So
Right.
so that's kind of a funny and sort of fucked up thing, is that like someone comes in and their eyes, they're not focusing their eyes properly, and
Right.
instead of saying, well, you have to learn how to use your eyes properly, they're like, oh, your eyes are fucked, you have shit
It's
genes,
true. Yeah. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
fucked for the rest of your life.
Right.
um
Yeah. Because it's actual. I don't know if dexterous is the right word because that's about the hands, but it's
uh,
definitely like use of the eyes is very. It takes intelligent use of movement, skill. It's a skill, right? You can train eyesight, right? Why not?
yeah, I mean, it's a skill. I mean, it's something that you can do wrong. We could say that, at least. Like you can misuse your eyes. And there's a really lot to go into it, but like people that have better vision tend to move their eyes more. They tend to stare less. The like
Hmm.
people that have bad vision tend to stare more.
Interesting.
Um, and you can think about it also from a sense not just of acuity. So
Hmm.
it's not just about like seeing things, clearly, but it's also about like, your spatial perception. Like what do you see? If I stare straight the whole time,
Uh huh.
then I'm getting a limited amount of data, because all I see is what's in front of me. I don't see
Uh
to the
huh.
left. I don't see to the right. I don't see up. I don't see down.
Hmm.
Um, and we learn that from school, basically. I think for most people end up getting glasses, and there's huge correlations between the more academic you are, the longer you spend in school, the higher percentage of
Mm.
people with myopia.
So interesting.
And it's absolutely extreme too. Like go to Asia, and you'll find cultures that have 95% plus myopes. Um,
Yeah, it definitely
so
seems wrong, right? Like something's up with this, because it wasn't like this a
yeah,
thousand years ago. Everyone's functionally blind. No, right?
yeah,
Something weird is about
exactly.
our current culture.
Yeah, and it wasn't even that way 100 years ago. So you can look at you can I'll link I'll give you a link. There's an article called "The Myopia Boom" in Nature, and it just shows that 100 years ago, just right here, or 60 years ago, 10 to 20% of the Chinese population was short-sighted, and today up to 90% of teenagers and young adults are. So it's like, you really think that's genes?
Oh
That
yeah,
within
certainly not.
within 60. Yeah, so
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so it's extremely
Sh-
unlikely that it's
Sure, yeah.
genetic. And you can look at behavior, and you're like, oh, we're not going outside anymore. We're not walking. We don't have the night sky. Like we used to have a night
Right.
sky, like, and you'd walk and you'd interact with the environment a
Mhm.
lot more dynamically. Now there are all these rules, like you have the sidewalk and you have the street. You know, you don't like run around. You don't approach things in the same way.
Right.
Um,
It's an athletic skill.
and what's that?
It's an athletic skill that's not trained for anymore,
Yeah.
right?
Um,
Um,
yeah.
I have a question if you're done with that thought.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So, I have good vision. I've had good vision. I think I've been a bit lucky. I want my vision to remain. I also read a lot. What are the truths and myths around maintaining like good vision for someone who spends a lot of time reading?
So, what I tend to tell people is that uh, there are tons of people that don't use glasses and don't need glasses.
Mhm.
There are many millions of people that don't use glasses, and they're, using the computer. You can find a computer programmer who's working 60-hour weeks. I have a friend who's a programmer at
Mhm.
Google. He was working full time. He doesn't need glasses at all. He sees fine.
Mhm.
And so my general thought is kind of like, why should you assume that you have worse genetics than the other guy?
Uh huh.
um and it's also that it's about how you do things. Like I think our eyes are designed for clarity up close and in the distance, and I don't see any reason why it should really hurt your eyes to
Mm-hmm.
look at things up close.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm all about, overall, if something doesn't
Yo,
feel
can you
good,
repeat
to stop
that?
doing it. If you need to close your eyes.
The internet just.
Sure, yeah. I'm saying that most of what I talk about and most of sort of like my
Uh-huh.
method has to do with like feeling. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like feeling the body. So like feel your eyes. Something I do with people, is I can just say, hey, close your eyes. Does it feel good to close your eyes? If it feels good for you to close your eyes, then your eyes kind of need some more closed eye. And a lot of people are tired.
Oh yeah, that's got
That's a
to be a
challenge.
huge thing, right? People not getting enough sleep. That's got to affect vision
Yeah,
hugely.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, so it's this
Huh.
conflict where it's like, well, what does it mean to be tired? Do your eyes want to close, and then you're like not closing them because that's a sort of like inner conflict that's going to
Mm-hmm.
give you these conflicting kind of impulses and data,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it, it makes it a constant struggle. And so a lot of people just have this constant struggle, and they're not resolving it. So
Mm.
that's another thing. Like before you fucking like chop off your cornea, with LASIK surgery,
Get some more sleep.
consider,
Yeah, try sleeping more,
you
right?
know, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so many health problems that are just like, you know, the worst health problems is like, well, not getting enough sleep doesn't help any
Sure,
health
yeah,
problem.
it's like instead of
You know,
liposuction, have you considered walking more, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or sleeping more. That's a funny thing. Like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I do some like fitness type coaching stuff too, and it's like I think we make a mistake of trying to get to people to push. I don't think you need to be pushed into the health behavior you need. I think you just need to like pay attention to the present moment and find the thing that you're attracted to that seems healthy, which might be
Right,
sleeping, it
yeah.
might be food, or you might feel like exercising or just sitting out in the sun. And I think people make this mistake of
Hmm.
always thinking eat less,
Sure,
exercise
yeah.
more,
It's not a
and that's like
grind. It
the
should be a
perfect
very
life.
easy to be healthy. I would agree with that. Like you relax
Yeah,
into it. You just got more sleep, spend more time kind of
yeah,
walking around,
yeah,
try to
yeah.
stress out less.
Yeah. And also, your body should reward you instantly for the best decision for your body.
Mm.
So like if your body really needs something, when you give yourself what your body needs, your body's like, thanks, great. That's what I need.
Hmm.
So like you're tired and you close your eyes and it's like, wow,
That
this
feels
feels really
great.
good.
Yeah.
And yeah. And all you have to do is pay attention to the fact that you're doing, what you really need. We're so distracted, where a lot of us are really distracted, and we're like constantly searching for something else and stressing out, but not doing what we actually need to do.
Hmm.
um, and once you do what you need to do, and it can be it can be a big challenge. It was a big challenge for me mentally for a
Hmm.
while, and it still can be, because we have these sort of habits, or you have these drives, and you're like, well, I can't sleep right now, I need to work, or you
Right.
know whatever it is. But
The modern
you
world's
get
crazy.
direct benefits. Yeah. No, absolutely. And that, I mean, the crazy thing is interesting too, because of there's a big psychological side, which I don't know how much I can really get into right now, but like if you misuse your eyes at an early age,
Hmm.
and you get a bad visual habit, like we use our eyes to communicate with people, you know?
Right.
So imagine like I want to communicate with you or communicate with
Hmm.
someone, and I actually have this sort of problem with how I use my eyes. Essentially, I
Right.
stare too much. You know, I don't actually have freedom with my eyes. I have
Hmm.
strain. I have struggle. So if I have like struggling, straining eyes, when you're making eye contact with someone, you're not able you're not able to dance and respond in the like in the full sort of synchronized way. And it's something that like over time, so like I've kind of realized, wow, I can see things so differently. And it's the like if you just want to experience beauty, but your eyes hurt all the time, you're limited in this way, and
Hmm.
you just the whole experience of life is um,
I agree. I think that
it's
this
yeah,
this translates nicely to the social side of things. If you have better eyesight and you don't have things blocking your eyes, presumably you're
yeah,
going to notice a little bit of difference there.
yeah,
So, for those, for
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I can say just say some stuff with that. Like I just noticed a lot of patterns with my eyes, these conflicts. Like I'd want to look at someone and I'd feel afraid to look at them because of the feelings that would be connected to that. Um, and that changed over the years. Like in order to become more relaxed, I had to like accept my attractions to
Mm,
people. Uh, and
stare, make eye
so long as I
contact,
was like, what's that?
look at people, look at what you want to look at, right?
Yeah,
That's a way to relax. Let your eyes wander.
yeah.
So, for those watching who have poor eyesight and want to improve it, or have good eyesight and want to maintain it, is there a few other keys you could share? Something they could try out right now that would be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, in general, taking off your contacts, if you wear contacts or glasses, taking them off. If you want to improve your eyesight, you need to, give yourself the chance.
Hmm.
Um, I would say take it off and pay attention to your body for a prolonged period and pay attention to like, what could I do to be more to what could I do to better my state right now? How's my breathing? If you can do Tai Chi at all, Qigong, Tai Chi, some kind of martial art,
Hmm.
dance, yoga.
Hmm.
Um, I really, I talk a lot about just like sitting,
Hmm.
standing, laying down, and realizing that and moving, walking, realizing that we can improve our quality of movement,
Right.
just to realize that that's a potential. And I think a lot of people they don't really they don't stay in the physical world that much. If you're not like an athlete, and you're not like a dancer, and you're not like a meditator,
Uh-huh.
you might not, you might just be really cerebral and you just think all the time,
Hmm.
nonstop, and you don't pay attention to your body.
Right.
Um, so I recommend really paying attention to your body, with the realization that there's a
Hmm.
there's a huge potential for improvement in your quality of
Physical
life.
training will
If
improve your vision.
Yeah, yeah, I mean it
Yes.
definitely can. If
Well,
it definitely can. Yeah,
I think it's interesting. You look at pro athletes, it is very rare for pro athletes to use contacts or glasses. Most of them have great vision. So
yeah.
that is,
Well, yeah.
you wouldn't
Well,
necessarily
well,
know
here's
that
another thing.
because you don't see
Yeah,
contacts in, but generally
yeah,
pro athletes have great vision.
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, another thing also that I've noticed is that people with blurry vision, like myopia, they tend to not that's not the whole pathology or whatever. It's not a disease, but
Hmm.
like you can look at their shoulders. You're going to find that people that wear glasses, they're a lot more likely to have their head far forward, their shoulders kind of pinned to the back
Sure,
or
yeah.
whatever, and part of that has to do with their visual habits, because it's not just that their eyes don't move as much, it's that their head and neck don't move, it's that their whole body, like when I was talking about
Right.
movement, like we learn to deny our own physical impulses in school. Basically, you want to go to sleep, or you want to leave the classroom, you want to go outside, you want to
Uh-huh.
talk to your friend, and somehow you learn to just shut up and listen to some boring person,
Yeah.
in
Well,
general
me, I would
anyways,
sleep in the
talk.
desk or get kicked out of class, and now that seemed like a great
Exactly.
and now that seemed like I was doing it right. But
Yeah. So I mean, those are, those it's like a full behavior set, and then we kind of realize that we don't, people just don't own their own body. They don't feel that they own their own body or
interesting.
their own emotions. Um,
Yeah, it's like there's gonna be comments on this. Why are you moving? Why are you walking? It's like, well, that's what feels good. Why are we conditioned to sit still? So I like it. It's a
Yeah.
holistic approach. Change the mindset, right? Change the mindset. Take some control over it. Stop blaming genes. Take some control over eyesight. Realize that maybe instead of straining more, if you're able to relax. So you have this technique, and you have tons and tons of content on this. So if people want more, how do they find you?
Yeah.
Where
So
should they follow?
youtube.com/David Hestrin.
Hestrin,
That, that,
Hestrin.
yeah, that works. Cureforblur.com. I'm on Amazon. Uh, and then, yeah, I mean, if they tell me, if someone wants to email me or message me and say that we saw it on this
Hmm.
video, I could, maybe give them a special something or whatever.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean,
Well, you've got a lot of free stuff, so go to the YouTube for
yeah,
that, and then
that's the other,
we'll throw a link
yeah,
up to your
that's the other
product
thing.
or something like that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that like it is really, it is simple. Like the idea, like we said, the content that needs to be said in terms of like the seed. Like the seed is relax your body and relax your mind, and that's pretty much like that's 100% of like what the person like needs to do.
Hmm.
Um, so it's not like that. It's like a bunch of hidden. I don't have a bunch of like hidden content or whatever where it's like there's something completely different on the other side or something. It's
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Just more detail.
Yeah, more detail or just me actually going, like I'll do the process. Like it's me
Uh-huh.
sitting and just describing like, okay, I'm sitting right now. I notice my back, I notice my shoulders, I notice my breathing. Or just like explaining different realizations because a lot of them it's like about going deeper and deeper and deeper. So there's like there's an idea of relaxation, and my idea of relaxation is actually sort of wrong
Mm.
because I don't know like what pure perfect relaxation is.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that yogis and martial artists, they might spend their whole lives um, still looking for like finer and finer subtle and more subtle
Uh-huh.
levels of like inner peace and calm and stuff like that. So over time, I get an idea of like, oh, this is what it means to be relaxed, and it's so much better
Mm.
than what I thought it was. And that's one of the things that I'd like people to kind of try to blow their minds with, like blow your mind with like your potential that's actually accessible
Mm-hmm.
like today or within 10 minutes. And I think a lot of people who haven't meditated, they don't have a positive expectation of what just sitting is going to be like for the next 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to really change that and to realize like you could feel like awesome, if your health is right, if you're meeting your needs, and then you can have good quality thoughts for 10 minutes in a row, like you can have an amazing feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But some people, if you have heartburn, you know, if you can barely breathe, if you didn't sleep enough, if you don't exercise, if you don't eat vegetables, uh,
You're gonna have bad
and you have a
vision.
yeah. Well, not necessarily. But I was just going to say that your expectation of like relaxation or kind of like internal practices is not going to you're not going to have such a positive expectation. So that's why the holistic method's important, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I like it, man. It's empowering. So I hope you found this helpful. If you did, leave a comment. If you have anything else to add, that'd be cool to hear as well. David, thanks for reaching out to me. And
Yeah,
this
thank
is
you.
valuable stuff. I hope that I continue to never use glasses ever. So that's my goal.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.